The house was too quiet. It used to be filled with laughter, music, and the soft hum of a woman's voice singing along to the radio. Now, every sound echoed, the creak of the floorboards, the ticking clock on the kitchen wall, the soft sigh of a lonely man trying to remember how to breathe. David sat at the kitchen table, staring at 2 coffee cups. One for him, one for her. It had become a habit he couldn't break, a ritual that made no sense, yet somehow kept him tethered to her memory. Steam curled from his mug, but the other cup stayed untouched, slowly turning cold. Just like his heart, he'd lost Emily 3 years ago, the love of his life, the woman who could make any bad day feel like sunshine. Cancer had taken her too soon, leaving behind a 6-year-old daughter and a man who no longer believed in tomorrow. Little Lily shuffled into the kitchen, dragging her pink blanket. "Daddy," she said softly, "why do you still make Mommy's coffee?" David forced a smile, one that didn't reach his tired eyes. "Because, she used to say the morning didn't start until we both had a cup." Lily tilted her head. "Then maybe Mommy's morning started in heaven." Her words hit him like a whisper from above. He blinked back tears, turning away before she could see. Every day he promised himself one thing: he would never love again. Love was a wound that never healed, and he couldn't survive another heartbreak. What he didn't know was that somewhere, beyond that quiet morning and those 2 empty cups, life was quietly preparing to surprise him again. Rain poured down in silver sheets, blurring the world outside the windshield. David gripped the steering wheel, lost in thought, as Lily's soft voice broke the silence from the back seat. "Daddy, can we stop somewhere? I'm hungry," he sighed, spotting a flickering neon sign through the mist. Millie's Diner, home of the best pie in town. It looked old-fashioned, the kind of place where time slowed down and strangers still smiled at each other. He pulled in, parking under the dripping awning. Inside, the diner smelled like coffee, syrup, and something warm, comfort. The bell above the door jingled as they walked in, shaking off the rain. A young waitress with kind brown eyes and a messy ponytail turned toward them. Her name tag read Anna. "Cold day to be out," she said with a gentle smile. "You two grab a seat, I'll bring you some hot chocolate." David nodded but didn't say much. Small talk felt foreign now. He sat across from Lily, who swung her legs and grinned as Anna set a steaming mug in front of her, with a little smiley face drawn in the foam. Lily giggled. "Daddy, look," she made it happy. Something in her laughter warmed the space between them. David looked up, meeting Anna's eyes for the first time. There was something familiar in her kindness, something he hadn't felt in years. He quickly looked away, focusing on his coffee. He told himself she was just doing her job. But deep down, he knew this moment, this stranger's smile, this laughter, had already cracked open a door he thought was sealed forever. Outside, the rain kept falling. Inside, something long frozen began to thaw. The next weekend, David and Lily returned to the diner. It had become their quiet little ritual: pancakes, chocolate milk, and a break from the silence of their house. Anna greeted them with that same warm smile, her apron dusted with flour and her hair tucked behind her ear. Lily adored her. She told Anna about school, about her doll named Maggie, even about how Daddy still made Mommy's coffee every morning. David would blush, but Anna never pried. She just listened, really listened, with that kind of gentleness that made people feel safe. When they finished breakfast, Lily slid off the booth seat, her shoelaces dragging. Anna knelt down beside her. "We can't have you tripping, princess," she said playfully, tying the small pink laces into a neat bow. Lily looked at her closely, then leaned forward and wrapped her tiny arms around Anna's neck. "You smell like Mommy," she whispered. The words froze time. Anna's hands trembled slightly as she hugged her back. David sat still, his throat tightening, watching tears gather in Anna's eyes, not from pity, but from something deeper, understanding. "I miss her every day," Lily said softly. Anna brushed a strand of hair from Lily's cheek and smiled through her tears. "She must have been wonderful," she said. David couldn't speak. He just stared at this woman, a stranger, holding his daughter with the kind of love only a mother could give. For the first time in years, his heart ached in a different way, not from loss, but from something returning. That simple hug, innocent, spontaneous, pure, broke the wall he'd built around his heart. And in that quiet diner, love whispered, "I'm still here." A week passed, but that moment in the diner stayed with David like a melody he couldn't forget. He kept seeing Lily's arms around Anna, hearing her little voice say, "You smell like Mommy." It replayed in his mind every night as he sat in the empty living room, staring at the flicker of the TV without really watching. Something inside him had shifted. He didn't fully understand it, maybe it was gratitude, maybe longing, but he knew he needed to see Anna again. Not for himself, he told his heart, but to thank her for showing his daughter kindness. Still, deep down, he knew it was more than that. That Friday, after dropping Lily at school, David found himself driving toward Millie's diner. The bell above the door chimed as he walked in. Anna looked up from behind the counter, surprised but smiling softly. "Hey, stranger," she said. "No little sidekick today." David chuckled quietly. "She's at school. I just wanted to thank you for the way you were with her last week." Anna nodded, wiping her hands on a towel. "Kids have a way of finding the cracks in our hearts and letting the light back in." Her words hit deeper than she knew. David looked at her, really looked, and saw not just a waitress, but someone who carried her own quiet sorrow, yet still chose to be kind. "She misses her mom," he said softly. "But I think she misses seeing me happy even more." Anna smiled gently. "Then maybe it's time to let life love you again." For the first time in years, David didn't fight the thought. Hope, fragile but real, flickered to life inside him. Spring arrived quietly, painting the world in soft greens and gold. The air smelled like fresh rain and wildflowers, the kind of days Emily used to love. David stood under the old oak tree at the park, spreading a blanket while Lily chased butterflies nearby. A familiar voice called from behind him. "Hope I'm not late," Anna said, holding a picnic basket. Her smile was warm, her eyes bright in the sunlight. "You're right on time," David replied, surprised at how natural the words felt. It wasn't awkward anymore. It wasn't forced. It was easy. They sat together, sharing sandwiches and stories. Lily laughed as Anna showed her how to blow dandelion seeds into the wind. The sound of their laughter, light, free, and full of life, filled the air. For the first time in years, David didn't feel like something was missing. When the sun began to set, Lily fell asleep with her head in Anna's lap. David watched them quietly, his heart full. The ache that had once been unbearable now felt softer, gentler, almost peaceful. He whispered under his breath, "Thank you, Emily, for sending her." Anna looked up. "What was that?" David smiled. "Just something my heart needed to say." She reached for his hand, not to replace what was lost, but to walk beside what remained. As the sky turned pink and gold, David realized something beautiful. Love doesn't vanish when someone we love is gone. It changes shape, finds new faces, and lives on in the people brave enough to open their hearts again. And in that moment, under the oak tree, the widower who swore he'd never love again finally let life, and love, back in.